Coming to you live from day 4 of Jodie Foster's Live-In Advent Calendar House. It's the Ditch Diggers with Mur and Matt. Hey, Matt.
You said it right that time.
I did. I didn't screw up a thing.
One take.
Yeah.
One take Lafferty. That's what they call you.
Well, I usually do it in one take, but if I screw it up, we just keep going.
Right, but that doesn't. If you flub the take, then it's not. Well, I guess that's still one take. So I guess the one take term really isn't very specific. Should qualify that.
True.
One
True.
Successful take, Lafferty. Doesn't
there we
have
go.
the same ring to it.
No.
But it's more clarity, which is a good thing in today's ramshackle media world.
Or is it Hamshackle?
Oh, shit. That's a reference to my YouTube vlog.
Yeah.
That's what that was. hashtag Team Hamshackle for the uninitiated.
Yes.
So, Mur,
yes.
it's the Advent,
Mm-hmm.
and we're answering a question a day. All
We
month
are.
long.
We are.
How together is our shit, really?
It's not at all, which is why we're doing this Advent calendar, but we haven't missed a day yet, so I suppose our shit is together. Just depends on how you look at it. We're awesome.
It's a perfectly good lie, and you fucked it up, and I just want to acknowledge that. Everybody would have bought what I was saying if you just gone along with it.
Except for we've said why we're doing this in several previous episodes.
Oh, people don't remember anything. This whole country is founded on the principle that no one remembers what happened yesterday.
That's true.
So anyway, that's what we're doing, and I like to just let people know if they're wondering what the hell is this brief episode that I'm listening to in my feed. What's happening? Where's my full-length, ridiculously long episode of Ditch Diggers? And there's more of those coming.
Yes. The next one has Chuck Wendig.
It does. It has the Chuck Wendig. He's talking about all the marvelly things. We've got Brooke Bolander coming up.
Oh, yes, Bolander.
The infinitely talented short story virtuoso. So
yes.
More full-length Ditch Digger episodes are coming, and they are awesome. And I mean that in literal sense. They are awesome in the sense of space and time.
Mm-hmm. You will be awestruck.
That's an exaggeration. You will be awestruck by how awesome they are. But in the meantime, we're answering a question today. What's today's question, Mur?
Today's question is from Alex, and it's from March.
March was a good month.
The short version is, for a beginning author, what is the lowest amount I should accept before renegotiating or trying to go to another publisher with my agent? And then Alex talks about other things like, see a lot of numbers thrown around. One website says you can expect as little as $3,000 for a debut. In this cast, you spoke of $5,000. Like, that's getting paid very little. What's the bare minimum I should
it
expect?
absolutely is getting paid very little, but I have the standards that should apply to the industry, not the standards that exist in the industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex says, I'm asking partly because I don't want to get screwed when the time comes, not that I think a capitalist industry would try to work over the literary proletariat or anything, and partly because I don't want to be the guy who gets paid a low amount and makes a publisher think it's all right to pay such a low amount. Do you want to start?
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's what the whole $5,000 average advance thing, I feel like that's what, I want to say, like, that's what we were told back in the day when we were coming up. Like it was a million years ago, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
Man, it's just, there's no good way for me to answer that question because it's such a shitty topic, but like needs are different, circumstances are different. I think $5,000 advance for any novel is ridiculous personally, but yeah. Go ahead.
Well, there was a key phrase Alex said at the end saying, trying to go to another publisher with my agent. Remember, your agent is paid by your advance. So your agent will not settle for $1,000. Because that means they get $150. Is that right?
You would hope not, and if they are, you need a better agent. Yeah.
So if I think, at least in my experiences, a lot of the $5,000 advances could come from smaller houses. My first small press book, they offered $500, and I negotiated up to $1,000. And then...
And what year was that?
2007.
I just feel like that's relevant.
Sure. And then my first big publisher advance was more than 5,000. It wasn't huge, but it was more than 5.
It's good that happened.
Yes, so
I was just thinking, if you think like national wages have remained stagnant, like you don't even want to look at author wages.
Oh yeah. Years. We were watching the Deep Space Nine episode where Sisko's a writer in the 40s, and God. They're talking about how someone's paying him 6 cents a word, and I'm like,
yeah,
that hasn't changed at all.
Pro rates, people. Professional rates. Oh God, this is such a bad question to get today because I'm already in a bad mood, and this is one of my least favorite topics in the industry that needs to be like the most important topic.
Well, I think we may be able to pass the buck because if you mention an agent, your agent is going to be working their butt off to get you the biggest advance that they can get you.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yes, of course.
It's supposed to be their job, but there are a lot of shitty agents out there. There are a lot of defeated agents, and there are a lot of agents who just don't know what they're doing. I mean, that's the truth. I was incredibly. I'll tell a brief story that relates. This is really a story, but it's more like a timeline. I'm already over-explaining it, but can I just share my experience that relates
Go for
to this? And then hopefully we could take something from that. So, I was extremely selective when I went to get an agent because I already had my Tor.com deal and I was doing my Saint Leger novellas and I'd gotten that on my own. And I had done okay with that for novellas, which, wasn't even a thing. Like, I was part of Tor.com's initial launch line for novellas as books. So, like, there weren't really any modern standards for that. Mm-hmm. But I did okay with that. But I was aware that I was doing those books, one, because I enjoyed doing them, and it was an interesting thing to do. And I was hoping to make money with them. I hoped that the novella series model would catch on. It's still a model I believe in. It did not catch on like I wanted, but I had hoped it would. But like nuts and bolts, bare minimum, I was hoping to use those books to position myself to do much better when I went out with the full-length novel that I was working on at the time. That was my plan. It's like, get good reviews, get hyped online, write good books, get people looking at me. Doing this podcast was part of that. I enjoy doing it. I believe in what we're doing. But from a business standpoint, it's like this helps my, my profile and my position in the industry because a lot of people in the publishing industry listen to this podcast. And I'll freely acknowledge that.
Just using me.
I'm not just, yes, that was my plan when we met 15 fucking years ago.
Yes. You're playing the long game, Matt. That's what I said about you. You're playing the long game.
Yeah, I am the master of the long con at this point. But I'm saying, all that stuff, I was very aware that if I did well with it, and it did well, it would help my position, and it would allow me to do better when I took the full-length novel out. And that was part of my plan. So I had done all that before I got an agent. It also put me in a much better position with agents because my stock was higher than it would be if I was just coming out of nowhere, even with a brilliant book. Which I'm not even saying my book is. I'm just saying, even with the most brilliant novel, as a guy with, no like huge cred behind him, it did better to have all this stuff going on and to be out there and to be getting the good reviews and getting the attention than it would be if I just went with the same book without all that. So I was very selective about agents. I actually turned a few authors down for various reasons. I didn't think they were right for me. When I sat down with the dude who became my agent, Dongwon Song, who's fantastic. We were at a bar at Worldcon a few years ago. We met for the first time. We've been talking online. What I told DW was, if I'm going to sign with you, here's what I need from you. I need you to get me a deal that justifies me signing with you and giving you your cut, because this is how much I can do on my own. I know that. Without an agent, here's what I'm able to do. I had numbers and I had stats. So I was like, we need to do much better than this. And I was like, do you think that's possible? Do you think you can go out and get me that kind of deal where it's real money? Like, I need real money. I need, like, real income, not just, like, I do a full-time job and it's nice if I get anything else on the side, whatever it is. Like, I need something that really contributes to my annual income. And he told me he thought that was entirely possible. And that, based on the other conversation we had, that's why I ended up signing with him. And when we took out the novel that I'm talking about, and he used all those things masterfully that I talked about, the books and my position profile on the podcast and all that stuff, and our Hugo nominations. everything I built up on my own. He was able to get me a deal that was, I'm not good at math, but if you compare it to the advance I got on my first 3 like novella books, it was 15 or 20 times more than that. So like that was the standard that I applied to the situation. I was like, I knew what I needed, and I knew what I had to go out and get. And honestly, I specifically made the decision not to worry about industry standards, whatever the hell those are. I was like, I don't give a fuck what anybody else gets paid. This is what I need from this pursuit to make it worth my time and energy and effort. This is what I need for my life and my family and my career and my needs. That's what I focused on. And we were able to go out and get that because I think that played largely into it, is because I stuck to my guns on that, and I did all those things, and I did all the things I needed to do to get me in the position to achieve that. So that's all part of it. And that, I hope there's some, like, I'm trying to give some valid advice to the question that whatever his name was asked. Alex, was it Alex?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that would be what I would that's what I would say to you, Alex. I would say, don't focus on industry standards. Focus on what you need from this and what you want from this. Now, have the conversation with your agent, like, is this realistic? Is this attainable? If not, why not? If not, what can we do? But, like, I would start from that point. I would encourage anybody to do that. And I think that's fairly solid advice for the state of the market as it is. Mm-hmm. I'll stop talking now.
No, I think that's good.
I hope that was somewhat coherent.
Somewhat, yes.
Somewhat.
No, it was good. I think, remember, you should not be all alone in this. You should have, and you should not sit there and let the industry work its way with you, because you can always ask for more money, and you can always try to find an agent to help you ask for more money. And, you don't have to take the first offer. But, you said, when should I look for another offer? If you have an agent working for you, then I don't think any agent would settle for $5,000 at this point. And again, I say any agent, and you remind me that there are crappy agents out there. So there are. But, I don't know. I think if you have one, or if you are searching for one, they can help you. They can tell you what you should expect for your work.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to provide context to the conversation,
Yeah.
Because I also just don't want anybody settling for bullshit, advice or argument or whatever from their agent, just in the instance they get an incompetent one. So that's what I would say. I think that's about the best you can do. And just remember, the other thing I want to stress is, remember this: if you're dealing with, know the publisher you're dealing with, know the size of the company, know what they're working with. But if you're dealing with, a major publisher that's part of like one of the fucking 3 corporations that now own everything, they have the money. Like, don't let them tell you they don't have the money. They have the fucking money. It's just whether or not they're going to agree to spend it. So if you're dealing with a smaller press, like we had Colin Coyle from Parvis Press in the show a little while ago, I do marketing for them. They pay advances between $1,000 and $1,500. That's top dollar for the size of the publisher that they are. They would like to increase that. They'd like to do more, but for where they are and how many books they sell, that's their top dollar. And you kind of need to know who you're dealing with when you consider these offers as well. Because if you're dealing with a smaller press publisher, they may not have the money. It doesn't mean you shouldn't still try to negotiate with them, but you're not going to get, 50 or 100 grand out of them or anything crazy like that. It's, so I would, that's the other thing I would add to the equation is, like, know who you're dealing with. So when your agent talks to you about what they're offering and what they think they can get out of them, you kind of have a sense of whether they have the resources to meet your needs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all that.
All right.
It's hard, Mer.
I know. Well, that's hard. I know. But that's our day 4.
That's day 4. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yep. And we'll see you tomorrow for day 5. If you want to check out Merverse.com, you can find the stuff I do. That's your cue, Matt.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought you were going to elaborate. Yeah, Twitter, Matt F. and Wallace, matt-wallace.com. And my YouTube channel, which is where Team Hamshackle lives, hashtag Team Hamshackle, is Angry Writer. And I would be remiss if I did not quickly point out, drop a buck in the Patreon, folks. We have a Patreon. It helps us do more and better shows.
That's right.
It helps us supplement those paltry publishing industry offerings we're talking about. Throw a buck in the Patreon. It adds up. Makes a big difference. We'd appreciate it.
Yep.
Especially for the holidays. Holidays are expensive.
No kidding. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. All right.